What is up, everyone? Barricade here, and I'm bringing you another little piece of Gears of War news. In a recent interview with Rod Fergusson kind of stated that the new Gears of War could, quote unquote, learn from Halo 4. Basically, he's not like saying, first of all, don't go crazy. He's not gonna copy Halo 4 or not turn Gears into a FPS or nothing. But what he means, by saying that is that it can learn how Halo 4 was still pretty successful, even though it was completely developed by different people. Like, if you really sit there and think about it, Halo 4 was the first Halo after, a whole trilogy and Reach to be developed by a new company, 343 Industries instead of Bungie. And when you really think about it, Gears is pretty much in the same boat. It really is. It's, had 3 games and then a prequel, and then now it's going to have a new developer entirely. So, he kind of references Halo 4 as, a good target, like a good way to try to make Gears be successful, because even though Halo 4 might have not been as successful as the other games, it was still very successful as its own standalone game made by different developers. And he wants Gears to be like that at the very least. He wants it to be successful in its own right, even if isn't as good as the other Gears. And but the thing that makes me feel real good, real excited again, once again, real excited about him being the lead designer of this game. That I'm glad he's back, and it's not someone random, someone new, not the people that were left at Epic. Because even though it was Epic Games, they still failed the judgment. The thing that makes me real happy about him is that he's very reluctant to make Gears into something that it isn't. He doesn't want to do that. He says, quote unquote, that's going to be our big focus, doing right by the fans and the community to show that Black Tusk Studios understands Gears. You have to do it right before you do it differently. So in other words, he wants to make the new Gears of War Gears of War. He's not going to be changing it up all crazy. He's not going to be turning it into Call of Duty. He's not going to be turning it into something else that it isn't. He wants to use everything that it was from the original games that made the games memorable and very fun to play, and keep it that way. And see, many people are very, I've seen many people I've talked to on comment section, and and just various in forums and stuff, where they're very reluctant to have a new studio. They don't want to have Black Tusk Studios. They want Epic because Epic makes Gears. No, all the original developers, all the main guys, like I said in my past videos, all the original main guys that made Gears are gone, and that's why Judgment was terrible. We have Rod Fergusson back with this new studio. Just because it's not quote unquote Epic Games doesn't mean that they're not gonna do good. We have a new team that is being led by one of the original developers. I have really high hopes for this game. I really think it can make the series alive again. I really think it can make people play it again. I really have good hopes for this series, basically. I think it could finally go back up to where it needs to be. Because the thing is, Gears of War 3 would probably still be very popular if it wasn't for Judgment. Judgment is what ruined a good portion of Gears of War 3's popularity. Because people played Judgment, they either traded in their game for Judgment or they played Judgment, and it made them hate the series more if they didn't like Gears 3, and then they didn't want to try Gears 3 anymore, and then they just stopped playing it entirely. I've heard a few people doing that where they didn't like Gears 3 for whatever reason because of the retro or sawed off, and then they played Judgment and it was even worse, and they stopped playing the series entirely. But they were still back before that. They were still pretty tolerant of Gears 3 until Judgment kind of ruined the Gears of War for them as a whole. So, in my opinion, I think Rod Fergusson could do the series justice and maybe even bring back the community. Maybe it won't be as popular as it was back then in Gears 1 days and stuff like that, but I really think he can bring up the community again. I really think he can. And the fact that he's really, really reluctant to make Gears of War something it isn't, and he's trying his best to keep what made Gears of War, shows to me that he's a good developer, and he's honestly the best that we can get right now. Honestly, I can't think of any other studio that could make the new Gears as good as it could possibly be. It kind of sucks that Cliff Bleszinski didn't want to come back. I actually read in a different article where he He basically doesn't live near the studio, Black Tusk Studios. I think he lives like in a completely different state actually, or at least a different city. And he said that he didn't want to move there. He didn't want to move all the way over there just to do Gears, which kind of sucks. But at least we have Ron Fergusson. So, in my opinion, I think he can do the series justice in the end. And the reason why he references Halo 4 is because as its own game, away from Bungie, it did pretty well. It really did. It didn't do as bad as people make it sound. I mean, you really think about it, compare Halo 4 to Gears of War Judgment, there's a huge difference between them. People still play Halo 4. I go in Halo 4 a few times and play it every once in a while. It still has a lot of players in each game type. You can find a game in every game type. You can't find any games in like 90% of the game types in Judgment. So that alone shows that Halo 4 is pretty successful, and he wants the same type of success for the new Gears of War, basically. And I think he can do it, honestly. But anyways, if you guys like this video, please definitely hit that like button, subscribe. I'm gonna keep doing more little videos like this of different interviews and stuff with Rod Fergusson if you guys want to keep up. But anyways, guys, thanks for watching and take it easy.